When it comes to our basketball training calendar in the postseason, which is where we're at right now, we train 3 days a week, typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday. In the off season, June and July, we train 4 days a week on a 4-day split, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. In the preseason, as we're preparing for the season, we go back to that 3-day model, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then in season, I like for all of our players to get at least 2 lifts in per week. The biggest thing that I've learned when it comes to in-season training, and it's probably been the hardest thing that I've dealt with coming into college basketball, is this. Number one, how much is too much and how much is not enough in season? There's got to be balance there, and that can be challenging. You know, I think learning that as volume increases on the court, the volume decreases in the weight room is a big one for me. And it was music to my ears because I connected with Andrea Huddy during the Maui Invitational this year as Texas was there. And as we were talking about in-season training, she used a quote and she said, periodization in season is dead for basketball. And, you know, I think what's being discussed there is it's almost for me a day-to-day approach, manipulating my workouts based on what happens on the court in a game, what happens in practice, how long did we practice, how far did we run, was coach upset and he punished them with extra conditioning or what have you? Did we get in at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. from a game at Nebraska, and then we had planned on training the next day? There's challenges within the in-season training model that I've dealt with here at Indiana that's been really, really hard and that I've learned to work through. I want to show you real quickly what a freshman goes through when they report to Bloomington. This is kind of our summer plan from last year. The players report to Indiana typically in early June. The first week is all pre-test evaluation and medical. And you can see kind of what we're testing our players on there. Much of that is the NBA Combine, and I have, you know, a database from NBA Combine tests over the last few years so that I can allow our players to see kind of where they test in and then set their goals up. I always have to remind them it's not where you start, it's where you finish. The medical testing is very, very detailed. You know, obviously blood testing is something that we do with our players at our Dr. Rink Sports Science Center. We do a lot of testing in terms of VO2 max. Our team doctor and athletic trainer have 38 years of data on VO2 max testing. That's really, really cool to look at. But then once we get into training, weeks 2 through 6, this is kind of the plan that we follow. The players would have breakfast, and then they come in and lift in the morning at 9 a.m. They'll then have class and lunch, and then they come back in the afternoons for a skill workout. And that's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday and Saturday, we build in yoga or massage or do some type of recovery for the players. And then obviously Sunday is off. This is a picture of one of our freshmen, one of our best freshmen this past off season. And again, I was following the 1x20 program with this athlete. But you can see, you know, kind of the results there in terms of his vertical jump, or I would start with his weight gain from 206 to 223. I would say the weight gain is not only the strength training program that we're doing, but it's probably more about the nutritional plan that they follow when they get here. This player had not trained a lot in high school, had not had much of a background in the nutrition piece either, so his results were rapid and probably the most impressive of any of the impression that we had in this class. You can see his vertical jump, standing, max, both went up about 3 inches, even though he gained the lean muscle mass. You can see his 185-pound bench press, which is how they test the players at the NBA Combine. He tested in at 4 reps, and he tested out at 11 reps. And you can see his pull-ups there, body fat. And then I do the Kaiser air squat test with each of our athletes to measure peak power. So this is after 1 off season. The next slide here is after 2 off seasons. This is Jawan Morgan. He was a most improved player in the Big Ten his junior year. He actually started as a rookie in the NBA bubble last year in the playoffs, and he returned to train with me this offseason, which was a joy to have him back in the facility here. But I think the biggest thing here is you can see where he tested in my first offseason. He tested in at 185 bench for 1 rep. And after 2 off seasons, he was able to get his bench up to 17 reps. That was probably the biggest improvement. And then obviously looking at his vertical jump, you know, even the standing vertical there going from 25 to 33, an 8-inch increase. This was one of the biggest improvements we've had here at Indiana since I've been here the last 4 years. So real quickly, as I'm finishing up here, conditioning. Just got a couple more slides. Conditioning, for me in the off season, is more about low impact. It's kind of how I can train these guys without pounding their joints. You know, Versa climbers, when I got here, we ordered 8 of those, and we do a lot of training on them with the athletes. We do some conditioning work on the Woodway treadmills, on our underwater treadmills. We have a sand pit right outside of our facility that I do a lot of speed, agility, quickness training in during the off season. And then with certain players, I do a boxing workout as well. Obviously, the skill work in the summer, to me, is considered conditioning as well, because we'll take our players 3 to 4 days a week on the court with the coaches, and they'll go through a 45-minute intense workout with shooting, ball handling, and some movement on the court. So that has to be factored in as well. In the preseason, we use the Riley test, the Pat Riley test for conditioning. We use our Versa climbers to create competition, red team versus white team, or one player versus the other, in terms of, you know, how many feet they can get in a minute. And there's a standard they have to hit, and the losing team would have, you know, maybe extra conditioning. And then we do something called stance class, which is really in preparation for practice to get the players ready, their hips and hamstrings ready for the demands of practice, deceleration. So it's about a 45-minute to an hour class of defensive slides with towels over their heads and things of that nature.